Welcome back to Cure the Common Game. Today, in deck number 729, we're going to talk about Aeve, the Progenitor Ooze. Y'all remember the Storm Scale? Yeah, never mind. So for 5 mana, we get a 2/2 Ooze with Storm. Legendaries, when you cast this spell, copy it for each spell before. Copies become tokens. Okay. Aeve isn't legendary if it's a token. Alright. Aeve enters the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it for each other Ooze you control. I desperately wanted to do Ooze Tribal. Now, if you remember, I've already done that once. Back Experiment Kraj is a blue-green Ooze Tribal, which is, there are quite a few more Oozes that opens up in the color blue. Aeve would have been perfect for that if there was a blue mana symbol anywhere on this card, because blue has the ability to make up, clones and tokens, copies, and anyway. But, so, we have mono green Storm / tribal Oozes. Oozes was the very first line of thinking I went down. But for any of it, we're going to have mana. And we're going to need a ton of it. Now, I have a different category here, so there's some cards you won't see just yet. But this is the straight ramp, just putting more lands into play. Nature's Lore, Search for Tomorrow, Harrow, Rampant Growth, all of your 2-for-1s, Ranger's Path, Hunting Wild, Sky Shroud Claim, Moss Diamond, and Frontier Guide. Frontier Guide is amazing. The ability to just repeatedly do it every single turn. But let's get to our Oozes, shall we? This is most of the mono green Oozes. I'm not going to say all. I don't. Is there one of them? Maybe. We have Predator Ooze. Indestructible, just gets bigger. And Oozes typically have this 1/1 counter theme. Hence the reason why Aeve does. Ravenous Slime, Slurk All-Ingesting, Inexorable Blob, Gluttonous Slime, Gobbling Ooze, Bioplasm. Yeah, some of these don't really, they are mono green Oozes. Ooze Tribal. Bio-Waste Blob, Manaplasm. Scavenging Ooze is actually a really good one, as is Experiment 1. Did I pass the Oran Reef Ooze, Mitoic Slime, Spitting Slime, and Ancient Ooze? Did I skip Acidic Slime? Do I not have an Acidic Slime in the deck? I don't remember. I went through those pretty quick. Anyway, so I was like, well, that also led me to the Biogenic upgrade because, it seems very ooze-ish with the number of counters. But I was like, well, really to maximize the commander, we want to try to get a storm count going, right? No, Chatterstorm is not in here. Making all the 1/1s is not what we're trying to do. We're trying to make copies of our commander. That's hence all of the mana ramp, is that we need enough mana to get our storm count up and still enough mana to cast our commander to come in with all the copies, right? So my mind went first to the free spells. You know what I'm talking about. The various free spells that have happened over the life of Magic. Bounty of the Hunt, Vine Dryad, Invigorate, Mutagenic Growth. All of those can be played with a 0 mana. So there are more, you got like Noxious Revival that I didn't have a copy for at the moment. But then I was like, well, you know what? 1 mana. First off, Yes, this entire deck is like $78 when I listed it on Arcadex, so there is no doubling season or things of that ilk. Yes, those would be amazing. But the one mana... there's my acidic slime. It was in the wrong category. Yay. Okay. But the one mana things, yes. Finhorn, Llanowar, and Elvish Mystic are all great if you draw them on turn 1. But a lot of times when you draw them on turn 5, you're like, well, these are one mana spells that we can use to pump a storm count, right? As is Soul Ring. Great early, great late. Mobilize. Just here we're going to dive into one mana spells. Mobilize to untap them all. Maybe you got your elves, maybe you don't. Vitalize will also work. It's probably better. It's an instant. Fog. I'll fog on my main phase just to get a storm count up. I'm not proud. Rancor. The part I love about Rancor is it keeps coming back. If the creature dies, it pops back in your hand. Felden's Cane. One mana spell. Kind of has some decent utility there. Autumn's Veil. Can't be countered, so this is the perfect play before your command. Wayfarer's Bauble. Good early, good late, as is, the Wild Growth. Avoid Fate. Nobody really sees a counterspell coming in green. I mean, they really, really don't. Crumble and Oxidize, good removal for 1 mana piece. Forgotten Lore. They color shifted this to black in Planar Chaos, I believe. But it's a form of... It's a 1 mana regrowth if you only have 1 card in your graveyard, which is outstanding. And then you can spend the mana, but a lot of times if we're building a storm count, we don't really care, right? And then we have Crop Rotation. Now that begs the question of what land are we trying to get? Well, ideally, we're going to be getting Oran Reef the Vastwood because, it puts a 1/1 counter on, well, all our creatures are green that enter the battlefield this turn. And if we've got the Vastwood here online and it's left over from when you put the counter on all the copies. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. I guess we could hit the rest of the non-bases. There's not a lot, Temple of the False God, a couple cycling lands, and Slippery Karst and Tranquil Thicket. Got the Myriad Landscape. They're going to share a type. And, of course, the Rogue's Passage. Double meat, double cheese, got to have it. Rites of Flourishings. Contagion Clasp. If I had an engine, it would probably be in there, too. Just for the cheap proliferate. At the end of the day, we are playing mono green. So the Blanchwood Armor had to be in there just because, it can win games. You just strap it up on your commander and go to town. Overrun, it's a creature-based deck. We're wanting a bunch of copies of our commander. So let's look at our removal, shall we? Deglamor. Now, I love Deglamor. Granted, it's not as cool as... but it shuffles it away. It gets rid of those indestructible artifacts. Because it does not destroy it, just shuffles it away. Return to Nature still in there. Hunt the Weak. Puts a counter, and then, anything that works with a counter. Of course, we have Naturalize. Natural Obsolescence. Here again, doesn't destroy it, just tucks it. Lignify. In play but useless. Windstorm. Now, I know Tranquil, I think there are 4 or 5 enchantments in our own deck. Yeah. Tranquility doesn't see a lot of play, but I feel like now's the time. Now's the time and the place for Tranquility because we just got Sithis. There's a whole new resurgence in Enchantress commanders, or just in, enchantments in general. And here again, it's that beautiful 3-word text box. But the most controversial pick is Tsunami. Mass land destruction is not a thing people like. I get it. But my argument is If the blue player lets a tsunami resolve, hey, that's fair. So, that is what we have got for Eve. Eve. It's got an A in there. It's like Eve with an A. Aeve. Sure, that's what we'll say. Got all our other lands are, of course, just basic forest. And we're going to go put Eve on the wall. You can tell I've been sorting cards. Oh, that's like all I do is sort cards. 729 is done. Get it on the wall. Hey, we're almost finished with another row. Feels like deck 700 was not that long ago, but I guess it wasn't. To me, doing one of these every day is that adds up the numbers quick. Well, appreciate y'all watching, and y'all let me know what you think. How'd you build Eve? I'm not responsible enough to not do the Ooze tribal thing. I know I could have gone a lot deeper into the storm aspect. Totally could have. Especially with stuff like if you add in Allurin or Recycle and Allurin. Those came in a pre-con together. Can you believe that? But there's a lot of things you could do to just have an infinite storm count and go nuts with Eve. But that's what I did. I appreciate y'all watching, and y'all let me know what you think. But we're going to go ahead and shuffle and cut.